Good morning, guys. Welcome to another vlog in which I'm going to share with you what my journey in building my home has been like. I will also be sharing with you the cost of different structures you see in the compound, and I just hope it motivates or encourages someone. I acquired this 1 acre property at a cost of 400,000 Kenya shillings way back in 2017. It goes all the way and then extend to that other corner. That's where the garden is. It's in the shape of L. And after buying the property, I was left with no savings to start building, so I fenced it off using barbed wire and chain link, which cost me 120,000. Initially, I'd fenced it using just barbed wire, but then I added the chain link much later because I didn't want issues with the neighbors. In village setting, you'll always find issues like your chicken ate my vegetables, your goats ate my what. So that's what I was avoiding. So when I was done fencing, then I proceeded to putting up a gate, which cost me 80,000. That is just for the fabrication only. Other materials used in putting up the gate cost roughly 60,000 shillings. An ordinary all-purpose gate should cost a bit less than that, but I did double gates, a walk-in gate and a drive-in gate. I think that's why my cost went up a bit, but I really like that I don't have to open the big gate when I just have someone walking in. So once I had fenced off the property, then I began planting trees, and the very first trees I planted were this one you see here. This is a bishop tree. It's meant for shade. And I randomly planted many other trees around the compound, which were later burnt down by an accidental fire. And I think I only have about 4 surviving trees out of the trees I planted. This palm here is one of the trees that survived. Unfortunately, I have to trim some of its leaves because it is just about to touch the power line and could cause a very serious accident here. I will be lying if I told you the amount I've spent on trees. Honestly, I don't know how much I've spent on trees. I'm a random tree shopper. When I come across a good tree, a good flower, I'll just pick it. And something else is that I am dealing with a swampy land, and not all trees survive here. So out of every tree you see surviving, just know I've lost about 3 or 4. If they all survived, then I think I'd be having a forest here. But I'm not giving up. Every time I come across a tree, I bring it, I plant it, because I know in the rainy season when it's flooding, I could possibly lose another tree. But I've realized the palms are very hardy. They can survive the harsh weather conditions. And most of the trees that survived were palm trees. It's quite unfortunate that I'm cutting down a palm which houses so many birds. I've just realized there are very many birds. I've seen eggs, I've seen nests. So I'm really trying to be careful not to damage a branch that has birds or that has a nest on it. I love to have the birds around, and I wouldn't want to interfere with nature any day. One big problem that I have with the plants that have survived the swamp is that they grow very slowly. These things require a lot of patience. If you're not patient, you would give up planting trees on swampy land. But I'm so glad that many trees are actually rising to the occasion and beautifully showing off as they struggle to grow in this swamp. The one big mistake I made when planting trees is there was no plan. So I randomly planted trees throughout the compound. I had not even decided where the house was going to be. So I have trees lying randomly in the compound, some which I'm sure I will have to move. And I've had to move quite a number of them already. So if you're at that stage where you have not started putting up a house and you are planting trees, please have a plan so that you have your trees at the right place so you don't have to move them. Some of them, when disturbed, don't grow back, they just die. I can see another nest, so I'm just going to avoid cutting that branch lest I leave that family of birds homeless. So as I continue to plant trees in my compound, I'm trying to get a bit organized now. You can see how I've lined up the palms on that line. And I know when they're fully grown, they're going to look really beautiful along that fence. So the construction of this villa you see here started way back in 2020. It's been 4 years of building, guys. It is not easy. And so far, it has chewed my 5.4 million Kenya shillings, that is, and it is not done yet. This little structure you see here was a DIY project. I just wanted to have a water feature here, but then I changed plans and put a plant here. And this thing takes a century to produce just one leaf. I have also planted lots of fruit trees around the compound. This area here is supposed to be an orchard, but it is not very organized yet. But I have big plans for it. Some of the fruits I have put along the fences, and I can assure you we're going to have lots of fruit here, especially in my backyard. This beautiful palm you see here is one of the survivors of the fire, and it's currently really showing off. It could have been much bigger than this had it not been for the fire that raised it down and it had to start growing afresh. I saw some fruit on the mulberry, so let's see if we can get something to bite today. This one I propagated from just a stem, and I didn't imagine it could grow and become a fruit. The problem is it grows so tall that it can be so hard harvesting the fruit, so I'm thinking of cutting the stem so that they become a little lower. And looks like we have a ripe fruit here. Let's see how it tastes. It's still quite sour. I guess the fruit is supposed to be darker than this when ready, but it's still good. Not so juicy though, so we'll have to give it a little more time. In a past video, someone commented about these 3 trees here. I have the traveler's palm, I have the red bottle brush, and then I also have this thorny palm here. So all these trees become very big, and she was just concerned about how this is going to look when they are fully grown. I borrowed this idea from some hotel, I can't remember where, but it looked really great when all the trees are fully grown. Let's see how this one goes. So because my plot of land is in the shape of an L, I decided to take the part that forms the L at the bottom to be the garden. So this is my garden, and when I came here, what I did was plant 100 banana trees. And what you see is what is left of the 100 trees. I guess I have about 15 right now. The rest succumbed to the flooding of the swamp. But the ones that are left are doing great. They're in areas that are a bit raised, so they don't get the full effect of the flooding. I have left the other areas of the garden for vegetables, as I still try to experiment with different kinds of vegetables that I can grow here. So far, I have tried sweet potatoes. These are different varieties of sweet potatoes that I've grown here for the first time. I'm just hoping they're going to do well. I also put some green onions, and they don't look very healthy, but we are still trying things out. The collard greens look like this. It's been a few weeks since we planted them, and we are hoping to harvest soon. My very special okra is also here, and they are just beginning to flower. So we are going to have a good harvest here. What has done very well so far is the chilies, which I have been constantly harvesting. Even in a previous video, I harvested some chilies. They're quite huge. They look really healthy. So the big plan is to have the raised beds which won't be affected by flooding. But in the meantime, I keep experimenting with different vegetables and different crops just to see which ones can stand the flooding and which ones can stand the very dry soil in hot seasons. The big problem with swamps is it has two extremes. In the dry season, it gets very dry that the soil cracks, and in the wet seasons, it gets waterlogged. So as I experiment with different vegetables, I'm just trying to see which one can stand these two extremes. But eventually, we are going to do the raised beds, which will eliminate that worry of the two extremes I've talked about. So every week I come here to harvest chilies that we use back at home, because the ones I planted at home are somehow withered and dried out. Let's see more of the garden. So I have a number of avocado trees. That is just one of them. This is pumpkin growing here, and it was creeping into the neighbor's compound. I had to pull it back this side. And those trees you see there are just part of the woodlot. I have also invested in security. This is solar lighting, and I've spent about 40,000 on them. And I know you are curious to find out how the plants I had planted on the driveway are doing. Well, here they are. The old leaves just dried and dropped off, and they have new leaves already. So we just need to water them more regularly, and very soon they will pick up. Gardening never ends. Every day is a gardening day. So today I want to plant some dahlias around this palm here. I dug this patch a while ago. The palm was always here, but it was just standing alone and looking boring. So I decided to just add the dahlias around it. And I'm hoping to achieve something like this. I borrow most of these inspirations from Pinterest and gardening groups, which are on different platforms. And all I do is just try to use what I have to achieve what I've seen. Dahlias are so easy to propagate. You just need to split the already growing flower from the root upwards and then plant, and they pick up very fast. I'm planting it with some compost, which I always keep here just in case I'm planting something. Dahlias are always so beautiful, and they come in different colors. You can also cut them and use them in your flower vase in the house. I plan to raise the soil a little bit. I don't want the bricks around it. I just want it to look so natural. So all I'll be doing is add a little soil much later so that it is raised. I also don't want water settling on the surface when it rains. Remember, we are working with a swamp, yet nothing is stopping us. I'm just planting and it looks beautiful already. Can you imagine what it's gonna look like when the dahlias have spread and the palm has become larger and the whole place is covered and raised? It's gonna look really beautiful. So what I have to do now is order another truck of soil. The one I brought was finished, and then we will raise it. I find gardening so easy and really therapeutic. I could spend an entire day just planting flowers around the compound if I had someone to dig them up and just loosen up the soil for me. The digging is the challenge considering my age and weight at the moment. But still, it doesn't stop me from trying and trying each and every day. I always encourage you to do these DIY projects. because they are quite cheap and they are quite relaxing to do. And with social media, you can borrow these ideas from very, very many places. All of these platforms always have something for what you're passionate about. So I hope you get time to try something out, and the beauty is doing it with your own hands. It just feels different watching something you've grown with your own hands growing and becoming beautiful, or becoming a fruit, or anything that is useful. To me, there's nothing more satisfying than that. If you have some amazing gardening ideas, please share them with me on my Instagram at Jael of the Village. I have a lot of space here to play around with, so those ideas are so welcome. Good workmanship is leaving your area of work as clean as possible, so I always ensure to clean my mess after I'm done doing any kind of work. Be it in the kitchen, indoors or outdoors, I always clean as I go. It makes work easier and also leaves the place looking beautiful, so someone can easily see the difference you made in whatever you are doing. I don't really understand nature. My home is just 5 kilometers from our home, and look how sunny it is on this side, while the other side it's raining cats and dogs. Though I welcome the rain, I'm always glad when it doesn't rain so much on this other side because of the type of soil I'm dealing with. My plants look better in the sunny seasons than the rainy seasons. So I won't even complain about that rain not falling here. I always want to make a little difference every time I come here, either by planting something or just doing some work around the house. So I brought with me a few seedlings of cabbage. I had planted some at my mom's place, and the ones that were left, I'd love to try them here too. So this is also a first time plant here, and I've told you the experiment is not ending. Every day we are going to experiment with a new crop until we find what works and what doesn't. When planting vegetables or anything else, always remember to mix the compost with the soil. Don't plant directly into the compost. It will burn your plant. I will always share with you my building and gardening journey. So if you have any tips on building, any tips on gardening, I really welcome them. Always share them in the comments. I know I take a little more time replying to the comments lately. There have been so many, guys, but I am really trying to reply to all of them, and I hope I will catch up with all those comments that you have. And any questions you may have will be answered. So don't shy away from commenting or sharing your tips with me. I get to read all of them. It might take long, but I will reach each and every one of you. Otherwise, I'd call this a very productive day. I've done so much. Some were not on camera, but I hope to show you more in the next video. And just before I go, I have some really good news to share with you guys today. I have been waiting for this, and it finally happened. It's been about 3 weeks since I brought the chickens in, and guess what, guys? We got our first egg, and there's nothing more exciting than picking that first egg. So at this stage, I'm now going to change the chicken feeds from grower's mash to layer's mash. It really boosts the egg formation and production. So thank you guys for watching and hanging out with me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. It's bye-bye for now. I'll see you in the next.